All right, so as you can see by what I'm holding, today we're going to hyper dip the emblems. I've got things masked off, as you can see here. Just using a garbage bag, cutting a hole in the middle, taping it off. Got the square so I can have excess material to pull from. Now it says with the hyper dip, you need to spray this in 50% humidity or less. Unfortunately, I live in South Florida. That's not really realistic, and it's the middle of the summer. The lowest we're probably gonna get today is 55 to 60%. That's gonna be midday. So I've got everything masked off. I've got a tent to hopefully get some shade from the sun right when it's above us. And yeah, I'll update you once I get started. Now this isn't a how-to video because I've never worked with this product ever. So this is gonna be more of if you're somebody who's never used this, you're gonna kind of see an experience from someone who's also hasn't used it, and my thoughts and opinions in real time of how this gets on. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually leave this can out in the sun. It's so hot out here. It gets to like 98 degrees. I'm just gonna leave it out here for a couple hours. Right now it's 11:25 in the morning. I do need to go do a quick job at 2. So I'm wondering if I should just wait till I get back from that so I don't need to rush, and just let the sun get above, let the can heat up, and then just come back and have some patience with it. All right, so I've already just did a general buff with alcohol. So now I've got let's see here. You see the toothpick? I've got it here, and I'm going to get all along the edges of the emblem. Get all on the inside. It does make a difference. You can see it. Probably not going to show on camera, but if you take a close look, all the inner parts of the letters, you will find some residue, and it looks clean after you pass it through. So I think this is going to be worth just taking an extra step to go around all the edges. And I'm just using alcohol again. I don't know what's in the pre-dip spray, but alcohol cleans pretty damn good for me. So get all these edges. All right, then I just do a quick dry buff to get whatever residue the alcohol might have left. This kind of just buffs it out. That's it. That's looking nice and clean. So I've left this can in the bed of the truck, and it's already nice and warm. So it says 3 to 4 dust coats, and they say to go really light. So I've already done the other 2, and they're pretty light. I'm just gonna go quick. I'm kind of using the paint of the truck to get a gauge on the dust. So that looks like a nice dust. We're gonna let that dry, and we'll come back and do about 3 more. Because it says 3 to 4, I'll just go to the 4. See, this side's already done in the back. So I'm gonna do 3 more dust coats, and then we'll come back and do the wet coats. So while I'm waiting for these dust coats to dry, I'm gonna kind of give an idea of my plan is to lightly mist it to a wet, if that makes any sense. They say not to put too much, don't go too heavy. I have a little bit of experience with painting before, and you can get a wet coat just misting. You just mist until it wets and it collects enough to have that wet sheen. And a couple videos I saw, you can see when they start to spray it, it goes from a dry to then a textury, almost like a bed liner. And at some point, it all kind of just melts and combines into one wet coat. And that's where I'll stop. So that's kind of my plan. Again, I'm gonna wait for these dust coats to dry, and then we'll see how that first wet coat comes out. All right, while I'm doing these dust coats, you can kind of see some overspray from the Plasti Dip. Man, unfortunately, I don't have a garage. I don't have the perfect working conditions, so I'm working with what I got. But supposedly it buffs off super easy. So we're gonna take a look at that. Yep. it comes right off. You can see right there where there was overspray. It's completely clean. So you don't really have to worry about that. And I'm sure with alcohol, you'll be able to make sure you got everything. This is the third dust coat. I'm gonna do the final dust coat now in about 2 minutes. So this is what my last dust coat looks like. You can kind of see around the edges. I'm trying to get from every angle, but it's not completely filled in. You can see under that C. But I think that's where the wet coat is gonna come in. Once I mist everything nice and wet on there. It does look pretty painted already. I don't know if it needs to be lighter or not, but it does look textury. So I'm gonna call this a successful dust coat. As you can tell from my shirt, South Florida is no joke. I am sweating like hell. And this can, it's so hot outside that just leaving this on the bed keeps it nice and warm. I don't think it's supposed to. You're not supposed to install this with high heat, but again, I'm battling rain, humidity, temperature, and it's just not ideal. I don't have a garage, so I'm doing the best with what I got. You did see I have this tent because I'm trying to have shade on this. I don't want direct sunlight hitting it. It is drying pretty quick. The dust coats dry, I think less than a minute. But we're gonna go ahead and start spraying the wet coats and seeing how that lays on, how fast it dries. And hopefully we don't get any texture. I didn't really want texture. That's why I got the piano black. So I'm hoping that texture just stays with the dust coat. But we'll find out now. All right, so this is my first wet coat. It does look a little texture. I tried to really get it wet. I had to get closer than the 6 to 8 inches to start getting some wetness. We'll see. I'll see if I can try to get better on the next one. On the back, I really worked it. It's trying to get it really wet. I guess since I'm in direct sunlight, it's hard to get that perfect sheen. But can you see the spot where I maybe put too much and there's a little pinhole rising? You really can't tell unless I point it out, but in the middle of the R, you see that? But I'm not really too worried about that. So here's the second wet coat. There's still, so now I'm spraying about 3 to 4 inches and I'm getting a very nice sheen wet coat. But then once it dries, you kind of get that orange peel. So am I gonna be left with orange peel? I'm not sure. It's not gonna bother me at all. I just want the Emblems black. And again, this is my first time using. I'm not in the perfect conditions, and I'm probably not even spraying this perfectly. But this is, again, a video of a first time user, so you'll get an idea. So on that second wet coat, I hit from the top. The next wet coat, I'm gonna hit from the bottom. Then the next one from the left, and the next one from the right. And then we'll just finish off nice and strong. So my final coat is gonna be 8 coats. All right, I'm gonna try my best to spray and videotape at the same time so you can see how it pulls up nicely and then I get an orange peel. So I'm gonna be about this far from the emblem. Let's see. You can see how it's pulling up nicely right there. See that sheen? But then once it dries, then it kind of gets a texture. Sorry if the camera's bad. I'm trying to focus on spraying. All right, so I'm gonna stick to that. I don't want anything to run, but you see, it does have like a gloss, and then as it dries, it gets to a little textury. Again, that's not gonna bother me at all. I just want them black. If they do have a texture and they look matte, that's fine. It doesn't bother me at all. But yeah, let's keep it moving. The next coats will be from the sides. And again, I'm using this the actual car surface, the car surface to feel that the paint is dry, and it is. It dries very quickly. By the time I get to the third emblem, the first one's already dry. I'm sure it's because it's so hot out here, but again, it's just out of my control. But let's go ahead and move on. Okay, this is my 4th coat. It's coming out really nice. I'm getting better sheen. The only one I think I'm gonna have to redo, because I don't have the back one in the shade, so it's not looking the best. You can see all super textury. And I'm pretty sure that has to do with the direct sunlight. So what I love about this though is that I'm not stressing it because it's all peelable. So I can peel that one off and just knock it out tomorrow. And I'll have better shade. But so far these are starting to look better and better with each coat. This is my 6th coat, so it's getting a little more towards the sheen side. So what I'm learning as I'm doing this is to just trust that the paint is gonna melt to a wet texture. Sometimes I'll like stay, like that's what happened with the back one, is I stayed too much because I didn't see it wet enough. But if you just kind of start, and you gotta go quick, you do have to go quick. You go spend a little extra time on the one you're starting, and then once you move, this is automatically overlapping to what you did, and it's gonna wet it out on your way out, if that makes any sense. But about 2 more coats and that'll be 8 coats complete. All right, so this is the final coat. This is the passenger side. I'm pretty happy with it. We'll see once it dries up. It is a little more sheen than when we started. This is definitely the best side. Now on the back of the truck, that R actually kind of fixed itself. So I guess it kind of pulled over it and fixed itself. So I actually don't think I need to redo the back here. It looks good. The one that I got a little trigger happy on is the driver's side. So you can see like in between letters, at least it didn't pull like that on the letters, but you can see like on the D on the bottom there, it's just a little bit, you can tell on the bottom of this O, you can tell a little bit. So again, worst case scenario, I'll just go ahead and redo this. All right, so at this point, we're gonna wait 2 hours for this to dry so we can remove the masking. I did already kind of try, but the dip is bonded with the tape so well that once I started pulling, it's already coming up there. So I just want this to dry good before I remove the masking. I'm not sure what would happen if I did it now, but I just want this to cut really nicely and not be too wet or anything. So we'll come back this afternoon and do the peel. All right, so I started a peel over here. It is separating pretty good. And you just kind of pull up and it separates itself, cuts. Just like that. This is the best texture. It's not a super gloss finish, and that's 100% gonna be on me. I know I'm not an expert on this. I don't have the perfect painting conditions, but this looks good to me. And to be honest, I messed up on the driver's side. I'm gonna have to redo it because I tried to save those little pools of dip here that was kind of bulging out, and so I went too heavy, and what happened is while I was peeling, it was peeling away the actual letter too. These were the only letters that stayed on. So I may even be able to mask this off and just do the ORADO and just paint that by itself. But this side so far looks like it's peeling just fine. I'm having no issues. So I'll show what it looks like once it's all off. All right, since I had to go back and redo this part, and since I already had some experience learning how the spray works and how it reacts, this actually came out the best. So at some point in the future, I'll probably redo everything else so you can see how this actually does have that paint finish. The other side is a little more textury, but you got to be right on top of it to notice. But just one more view, one more final view of everything. Really comes in nice. Brings the truck in really, really nice. And then one more look at the back one. There it is. So my first experience with that hyper dip, It's actually really easy to use, and you don't need to spend as much time as you would think, which is why I messed up the first time on that driver's side. When I went to redo it, I didn't even spend, I mean, I would spray the dust coats and they would dry within a minute. And then even my wet coats, it's just so hot down here that they would dry within 2 minutes. So I think I did 9 or 10 coats on that driver's side, and man, did it take me maybe 15-20 minutes, and it came out the best out of everything else. So just like anything else, trial and error, you kind of learn how things work. But I'm really happy with how the truck turned out. Very nice. I still got I got a couple things that I still want to get, but I'm kind of pacing myself. Doing the little things here and there. I just spent on the Line-X, the bed cover. I think those were the 2 most expensive things I've done now. So we are going to do rock lights in the future, and I have an idea to kind of do 2 sets. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I think it'll look cool once I'm done. But that's definitely something I want in the future. And I also want to buy the Switch Pro. So I got to figure out how that's going to get mounted. But yeah, I did finally hit 1,000 miles. So I may do a video soon. I just need to write down what talking points people want to hear. If you have anything that you're interested in learning about the Colorado that maybe I can answer for you, go ahead and leave a comment. Really, there's not a lot of cons. There's been a couple of little annoying things, but I've been loving the truck. I think I'm at 1,200 miles, and it's been great. I've done 3 good long little trips, and it's a great truck. So yeah, stay tuned. I'm not really like a YouTube guy, but I'm enjoying just kind of doing a little videos here and there, just personalizing the Colorado. All right, till the next one. See ya.